Welcome to Gray Overload. I'm Anthony, and AMD announced today that they will purchase Xilinx. AMD had their financial report today, and at the same time, they announced that they will be buying Xilinx, and I believe I am pronouncing that correctly, hopefully. But this deal contains, or will be, $35 billion in stock, where then 75% of that of the company then will be AMD owned stock, and then 26 will be the Xilinx company, all combined, when it's all said and done. And they expect this to close at end of year 2021. Now, I'm not going through financial advice or what you want to do for your investing, that's on you. But that's just some interesting information of how they're combining it. Basically keeping this with AMD stock as it's, risen over this past year. They're using that to be able to purchase Xilinx instead of going in and having a whole bunch of debt on top of that, where they need to invest a lot of money in R&D. So that is, I think, a good move on AMD's part, and I'm sure that this is how they kind of communicate with Xilinx. And I'm sure that there's some synergies there that they both want to kind of move forward with, and they both want to still invest in R&D. You don't want to be in a standing point where you can't invest and you get behind and let your competitors take advantage of that either. And I think AMD was looking at that, and that's why with this purchase, that's why they went that way with doing a stock purchase like this. So overall, one thing I want to say about this is I'm not a huge proponent of companies buying other companies. I like to see a lot of organic, a lot of innovation, and I believe you lose some of that once you start purchasing a whole bunch of companies. Kind of look at Intel as one of them, even Microsoft, right? Look at some of their major purchases. I kind of get a little bit, let's see where the market takes us. Let's see how we can create synergies with other companies and create better products and innovate on top of that, maybe even create a competing product so that we can advance the market, make it better for consumers, and innovate on top of that. Now, I think that's where that'd be a good intention for this, but you're looking at the whole semiconductor market as a whole. I have to also realize this, that Intel has an FPGA company, they have an ASIC company, they have a GPU side now. Intel is a big beast to take on, right? They have a lot of different departments. They have their CPU side. They have a whole bunch of things that they're throwing money at, and Intel is bringing in a lot of money every quarter. What is it, like 17 billion or so they had last quarter, if I recall, someplace around there. So if you're AMD and you're pulling in, what was it, 2 point some billion this quarter, there's a lot to make up there, and a lot more money that you can go around. Now, you don't want to take on too much debt either, right? That can be a problem, and Intel, I think, is going to have a problem with that coming down the road if they don't turn around a lot of their R&D products to really get them out and innovate so people will want them, right? There's always that balance. Now, I won't get too deep into the weeds. I want to stay more technical here, but I think that AMD really sees that they want to focus that R&D and really create synergies with Xilinx to really move this forward. We just had, NVIDIA bought Mellanox this year. They also, or no, 2019 they bought Mellanox, right? I think 2019 was right. Then you have NVIDIA going after ARM. So let's say that actually goes through. I think there's a lot more hurdles with the NVIDIA ARM deal than there will be hurdles with the AMD Xilinx deal. I think China's just going to say no to all deals right now. That's just the way it is. And I think for other regulatory approval, I think it's probably going to go fine for AMD, that ARM one, because it's going to be interesting. I'll probably do a video on that separately. But all these companies are swallowing up other companies. So you got Intel that swallowed up, what was it, Altera for their FPGA side. You had Mobileye, Intel also swallowed up. So there's all this consolidation going on, and AMD could have been left out of that, and AMD wasn't going to be left out of that with this purchase. Now, this gives them some more packaging IP, improved networking, and the combined IP could really make it kind of interesting of how maybe even AMD's, we're all impressed with AMD's multi-chip modules. They're, as Intel calls them, glued together CPUs to create what they have with Zen today. We can kind of see that maybe going towards in graphics cards maybe in a generation or two. I know NVIDIA's talked about it, and Intel's been kind of doing that already, and AMD's talked about it, so this is all going to go down there. Now, some of that packaging technologies that Xilinx has could actually help them out, could improve not just throughput or just a connection, but it could be a benefit to them as well. Maybe something on top with Infinity Fabric, make it better, make it communicate faster so that we get better products out of it, right? AMD now basically with Xilinx, once this closes, will have CPUs, GPUs, FPGAs, adaptive SoCs, and they say deep software expertise. And I'll put the press release below as well. And I also say this, they have a lot of smart NIC stuff, a lot of networking stuff, which is going to be, as Intel has, tried to beef up their server side items with their EPYC CPUs, now having that extra support of what Xilinx has for this could really put them in a leadership position. Xilinx is in a leadership position in a lot of areas that they compete in. And they have higher margins, right? That's another huge thing that AMD gets with this. AMD always wants to kind of increase margins. This is another way to do it. You have AMD said in their press release, you have everything. You'll get accelerators, but you'll also have data center to gaming to PCs, communication, automotive. That's another big one where NVIDIA is a big player in, and they want to capitalize that with ARM even more. So how does that work out with AMD? How do they get into that market, right? Create a bigger total addressable market that they're able to access. Industry, aerospace, defense. These are all things that AMD would like to get more footprint into. And with EPYC, with how well EPYC is doing and how much more traction it's going to slowly continue to gain, maybe do some more embedded stuff, AMD, with your, EPYC side embedded, what do they call them, embedded processors. With the graphics, put an FPGA in, maybe even a processor. Think of what AMD can kind of combine in either embedded space or like a supercomputer if they need to, or FPGAs for assistive searching, etc. This could be a huge thing. Now, AMD doesn't really have anything ASIC specific in their company, but this could be even something that could develop internal with the other IP they already have. Now, I think that this deal is going to take some time. Once it closes, and if it closes at end of year 2021, so just over a year from now, which I'd say is about right, depending upon how many hurdles they have. This could be something, I'd say another year or two, that we start seeing some synergies. I'm sure that they're trying to get some synergies right away. They should say, I believe I read that they expect about 300 million cut through, overlap, so a lot of HR stuff, finance, etc. But R&D, I expect to grow. They say they'll have 13,000 employees in R&D. I expect that to grow. I expect them to still put a lot of money in R&D, and that's a good thing, right? You want them to invest more in R&D, get more products out there, get more synergies out there, and get better products out for consumers, for businesses, etc. And that's where I kind of see this going, is that AMD, if this goes through, needs to benefit somehow with this. I mean, 35 billion is not a small amount. What was ATI was around 6 billion for the graphics side division, and what they need to do then is take advantage of that packaging IP that they have together between both companies. And I believe a lot of companies can go through and take benefits from each of them, right? They have different patents, they have different ideas, and both should be able to benefit. Now, there's probably also some money to be made with the wafers that they're buying from TSMC's. Who knows who has the better deal there? But there's probably a little bit of cost cutting that could be done there. Maybe they get some, who knows how they're going to leverage all this out. It's going to be interesting to see if this gets approved, how AMD can merge this together, how the synergies work, and hopefully it works better than what the Altera Intel one did so far. To me, there's just some questions out there between the Intel Altera one that I have and time will tell to see how that irons out, to see if Intel can pick it up. But if I was AMD, I don't want to really disrupt what Xilinx is doing. I want to help them in any way possible, but I want to keep them a leader in that going forward in their sectors that they are already leaders in. Now, in areas where we can have synergies and merge together, let's do that, and let's slowly integrate items that we can both benefit from each other's companies. Maybe get an FPGA and a CPU, etc. What we need to do, packaging IP. Let's improve that as well as we merge this in and create leading edge products that everyone can benefit from whatever business sector we're trying to attack is going to benefit from. So that's kind of where I see this deal going. As much as I like to see innovation from multiple companies and have them compete there, right now AMD I think didn't want to be left out in the cold a little bit here, with NVIDIA making their move, Intel already making their move in 2015. And so since there's that side of it, where was AMD going to be? Are they just going to be the odd man out? And they want to make sure that they were not the odd one out on this, and that they were able to take advantage and get something here that they can see a synergy with and move that forward. So that's a little bit of my sense on this, and a big announcement. AMD's going to have another announcement here tomorrow with GPUs. I expect a lot to come. Consumer-wise, I do think that there's going to be some things there. Maybe later on, even on the graphics side, you can use an FPGA for doing some compute stuff. Some specialized computing should be interesting. What these engineers can think of and use. You know, some of the stuff that I go off in my head as a computer engineer, I get excited about what could happen. Now, I don't think I should put a lot of pressure on AMD. I think that they should integrate and Xilinx should integrate well and move forward at hopefully at the same clip that they're doing right now with their Zen releases and RDNA 2 releases. But I'm not going to put, you know, I want to see them just go skyrocket through the roof. No, there's going to be a lot more competition, especially if NVIDIA gets ARM. You already have Intel with Altera, and I can't remember what the group name is right now, but there's a lot of this going through that let's not put too much pressure on them, but let's also hopefully see a return on this purchase, because if there's not, why did you go after them in the first place? And hopefully we'll see what investors think over time on this. But it was an interesting one. There was rumors about it. Now AMD came out with this and their financials, and it's going to be fun to watch what's going to happen here over the next I mean, once it closes, if it closes, once that happens, what AMD is able to do with Xilinx when they're all combined. So with that, let me know what your comments are in the comments below, and what your take is, because that's pretty much the most interesting part to me. Do you think that this is a bad deal? Would you like to see them keep separate companies? And if you realize too that companies are combining, yeah, so was this a good move for AMD with all the consolidation that's happening? Does this round out the portfolio a little bit better for that? Oh, one other thing too with the SmartNICs is the wireless communications, 5G, stuff like that. That's a huge thing that FPGAs are used in as well, and this was probably a good foot in there, especially to get Epic in a little bit more and have more synergies, to have a full product stack of having, you know, FPGAs with the controllers and with the CPU and everything in one package. So pretty good idea from AMD if they're thinking along these lines of markets that they can still continue to address more and more. So again, in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts are. And until next time, I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you for taking the time to support Gray Overload. And God bless. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.